everybody to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Kleston, joined by
Jabron.
The Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
And you heard a little bit of secondary laughter there.
Yeah.
We got him back. Jeremy Odom.
Yes, we had to.
Thanks for having me back, guys.
The J.O.
The J.O.
Hey,
J.O.
this is our first ever fantasy football, what'd you call it, extravaganza?
Yeah, extravaganza. Show.
Well, we're show, but yeah, so we had to get you back, Jeremy.
That's the thing. I live in Fantasyland, guys.
Yeah,
and
that
you've
is
heard my
true.
takes, and you had to have me on for
Had
this.
to have you on for this, for sure.
We're getting into your wheelhouse. We're getting into
absolutely.
your strength here. So, yeah, I mean, it's become such an integral part of the NFL, wagering, football, the whole 9 yards.
No doubt.
Fantasy football. Everybody's in at least one league. You talk to some guys that are like in 5, 6, 9 different leagues.
It's crazy. It can take over a person's life from,
You're recovering. I saw your coin, talking about.
Yeah, I'm only in 3 leagues this year. Only 3, so that's it.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good for me.
Not bad. Yeah,
That's pretty good for me.
It's pretty easy to get into 3 or more leagues, I will say that.
No doubt.
So we got to talk fantasy football.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start with quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So let's just start right there. Josh Allen is at the leaderboard in most power rankings, and I think that's very tough to argue with Josh. One of the things about him that I really like, maybe if I was a Buffalo fan, I wouldn't like it as much, but how many yards he gains rushing the football.
No doubt about it.
And he also runs a lot in. So on a fantasy perspective, I love Josh Allen. I would not throw any type of shade at anyone that wants to maybe reach a little bit and go for Josh Allen, although that's usually not my MO. I usually don't get a quarterback in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah, that's definitely where I'm at, Andy. I'm in a 14 league, which is my main league that I'm talking about here. And his overall draft position is usually around 22, and that is way too high for me to draft a quarterback. I always, try and wait till 5 or 6, rounds before I even look at a quarterback. So I have to go down the list a little bit to look for value players because, like you said, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, these guys that really put up the fantasy numbers aren't going to be there in those first 4, 3 to 4 rounds.
Sure. Yeah, they go high. Jeremy, where are you at with Josh?
Sure, Josh Allen's going to be consistent, right? He's
Yeah.
going to score a whole bunch of points. He did lose some key players on offense
Yeah,
that
no
I
doubt
think you
about
have to
that.
look at. He's going to spread it around maybe a little
Stephon
more.
Diggs.
There's nothing wrong with that. He might rely a little more on James Cook. We'll get to him,
sure.
right? But what's the gap between him and the next guy, like you're saying on the line? And then even him to quarterback 12. What's the gap?
Yeah.
And that's where I'd say
the thing that I love what you just said there. What is the discrepancy between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson?
Right.
I think there's more upside with Lamar Jackson, Andy. He runs it more. He runs more touchdowns in.
He doesn't run it more. That's not what the stats say.
That's
last
not
2 or
what the
3
stats
years.
say. Yeah, I'm just saying I love Lamar Jackson, and he's going 20 picks below Josh Allen. There's not that big of a discrepancy in my mind. I would rather go that way and get him 2 rounds later if that's what you're going with.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And Lamar is still the number 3 overall quarterback going in most mock drafts right now.
Yeah.
Wedged in between them is Jalen Hurts. And, man, that is a total wild card where that's one of those guys where – unless he's there in the 5th or 6th round and I don't have to worry about it, I'm not going to touch Jalen Hurts because
you don't know.
Yeah, Kelsey's
you don't
gone.
Know.
You got
the
new
offensive
running
line
backs.
should still be pretty good, obviously, with Cam Jurgens, black shirts, shout out there. But no, the line should still be pretty good, but you don't know how that offense is going to run. Are they going to get down to the goal line all the time like they used to? That is a question mark for me as well, Andy. I would much rather, go with a CJ Stroud or a Patrick Mahomes in a spot where you're going to draft Jalen Hurts.
So the thing I do like about Jalen Hurts is when it comes time, when do you need your players to really perform for you? And that's at the end of the season.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
He's a guy that the Eagles were starting to fall apart at the end of the season, but not him.
Yeah.
He was still averaging over 22 fantasy points a game. He was still a guy you could count on in your lineup during the playoffs.
Yep.
I don't know. That's a guy that at least is going to be there.
And he runs a lot.
So many quarterbacks.
And he get a lot of rushing touchdowns.
And
I just don't know if that's going to be a thing anymore.
The tush push will not be available to him like it was last year.
Exactly.
Probably not. And they got that high-flying running back, Saquon Barkley,
Yep.
over. But that's one of the things that I think takes away from Barkley is that Jalen Hurts likes to keep the ball himself a lot inside the 5-yard line.
It's like being the running back for the Carolina Panthers doing the early teams with Cam. You're not gonna get in the end zone.
Yeah, Cam was there. I'll tell you a route that I went last year, and I am the reigning, fantasy football champion. The trophies at my house
6-man league.
Yep. I usually didn't take a quarterback too high.
Yeah.
But last year I did because Patrick Mahomes just happened to be there.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I already got a running back or two. I already got a receiver that I like. Okay, fine. And what my draft ended up being was I only drafted winners. I just happened to just draft guys that were on teams that won week in and week out. I was heavy with the Chiefs, heavy in the Ravens.
49ers.
Yep. Deebo Samuel is on my squad. And like what you were alluding to, at the end of the season, when you make the playoffs or you're making that playoff run, those guys were still performing. And other guys were like, I guess I'm hurt. I'm going to sit out. We're out of the race, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not how my guys were playing. It's just that those guys have to perform all the year long in order for you to get in that position.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Andy. I mean, like what I was saying, I don't like to take a quarterback too early. I need to make that base of running backs because it is a lot harder to get good running backs later in the draft. What I was saying is
that's why I like Lamar Jackson so much.
Exactly. If you can get 2 running backs and a wide receiver / tight end before you pick your quarterback, that is what I would like to see in most drafts. I don't like the guy that's picking number 5 that picks Patrick Mahomes. That just doesn't make any sense when you can get a guy like Kirk Cousins or somebody in the 6th or 7th round that's not going to be too far behind him.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Guys who are good. That are needed on their teams that are going to be consistent and maybe have something to prove.
Yeah.
Gold.
The guy that's really fallen on a lot of draft boards and the highest he's going in mock drafts is in the 13th round, but he's usually going around the 20th or 19th round. Tua Tagovailoa. I think this guy has a ton
so
of
bad.
Yeah, I think he needs to be going higher.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
He's definitely a sleeper pick, Andy, but fantasy managers have to, just be forgetting what Tua has done so far. Perhaps he hasn't realized his full potential through 4 seasons, but he's injury risk is the only thing
what's holding him back?
I think so.
Is it?
But he scored 300-plus points over 16-game span from Week 8, 2022 to Week 8 of 2023. This guy can just, air the ball out, and he has one of the best players of all time in Tyreek Hill. Fantasy players of all time, obviously. But, I think he's very undervalued. So, if you can just wait till the last round of your draft and get Tua as your starting quarterback, you're going to be sitting pretty well.
A name you brought up earlier, and I want to get your take on this, J.O. We'll talk about C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's going to run into a sophomore slump in a big way. He might even end up on the brink of my do not draft whatever happens type of guy because there's other quarterbacks I can take that won't have that risk. God, he looked so good last year, and I think they're going to be a good team this year, the Texans. But everybody goes through that sophomore slump. There's a lot of film on him now, and they're not going to creep up on anybody. So, C.J. Stroud's the type of guy that – he's going number 5 overall, 6 overall quarterback-wise.
Yeah.
In my book, that's no way, no go.
I love that he's ranked that high because then someone else is going to take him.
Yeah.
I firmly believe in the sophomore slump. I firmly believe that I don't know how much you can put into preseason games, but you can already see Diggs on the sidelines getting into him. And that's, I don't know what
and
you can put into that.
he's supposed to be the third option.
Right.
What do you listen to your third wide receiver for? Get down the bench a little bit, Diggs, but that's the way Stefan's going to do it.
There's a lot of tape on him. I love him being ranked so high just because I'm not going to take him.
I love that, too. Okay. I think that's a great take. Exactly. He's supposed to be 8 picks or 9 picks right behind Lamar Jackson. What are you thinking? That doesn't make any sense to me, Andy. Yeah. Can I give you my sleeper quarterback pick for the year?
Well, of course you can. What do we got?
This guy is going average draft position 106, 12th quarterback off the board, Andy.
Okay.
It's the rookie from the Commanders, Jayden Daniels.
Yep.
He's a dual threat quarterback, Andy. Ideal skill set for the modern NFL. They got Cliff Kingsbury coming in here. He's very similar to Kyler Murray when he got there.
Yeah.
You remember how good of a fantasy threat he was. Terry McLaurin, John Dotson, leading receivers, pretty dang good.
Yeah. McLaurin needs his bounce back.
I think he's going to be a top 15 fantasy producer this year.
I was wondering where that retro Commanders jersey and hat were coming from.
Let's go.
You're such a Gators homer. That's unbelievable. But you actually make a little bit of sense there.
Yeah.
Now, I find it odd that there's two rookies. Jayden Daniels, the guy you just mentioned, a lot of upside, right?
For sure.
And then also the Chicago Bear, Caleb Williams.
For sure.
They're 12-13 in front of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple rookies in front of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean...
That's more of the hate on Rodgers, right? That's
they definitely hate on Rodgers.
And that's with a lot of hype on those rookies, but Rodgers, I guess, maybe has something to prove still. We don't know what it's going to be like in New York.
He had a bad injury last year.
Yep.
At worst,
Devastating.
I just think the floor is higher than...
Yeah.
You were talking about, Andy, do not draft, do not touch at any certain point. He is number one on my list of quarterbacks.
Of not to touch?
Just do not know. You just don't know. I know that, he's been MVP 9 times or won a Super Bowl and all this kind of stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how the Jets are going to be on offense. I don't know about Aaron Rodgers. Don't know about his health. I'm not touching him.
He's ranked right in front of your guy, Justin Herbert.
Which is insane. Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert deserves more respect on this. He just look at all the accolades he has had. He will put production down.
Yeah.
And they just took away his top 4 options on offense.
Keenan Allen,
and
Mike Williams, Gerald Everett, Austin Eckler, all gone.
He's going to be better.
Ooh.
He's going to be better.
Is that the steal?
Quentin Johnston? Oh, no, man.
But you know what?
Steal?
I want to hear this.
It's not because of Quentin Johnson.
Okay.
You know what? And I'm going to bring it up when we talk about wide receivers.
Josh Palmer.
Just a little tease that we like to call it in the business. But he's going to have a great season. I'm excited about him being so low.
Get Herbert in the later rounds. I think that's our takeaway, right?
Say?
Herbert, oh, Bust.
Oh.
Bust.
Oh, Bust.
Oh my God! Oh, a little bit of. Well, you heard the horn. We're gonna spill over here a little bit, but let's get into that. Why do you think Herbert's a bust?
With everything he just said, I'm thinking the opposite. He lost his 4 best playmakers on offense. He has unprovens: Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer, Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey. I love that.
Two run. He brings in Jim Harbaugh, who is a heavy running back kind of guy. They got the 2 Baltimore Ravens backup running backs, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I just don't know if it's going to be a good year for the Chargers. I just don't know. I hope it is for you.
It will be.
You
But
got a rebuttal? You got a quick
It will
rebuttal
be.
for that?
Just that he's wrong because the Chargers with Jim
not like me.
Harbaugh as head coach, we're built for success. We're built for stability and consistency.
Built
and
for cheating.
honestly, when you think about it, who's got better than us?
Nobody.
Nobody.
No, that is the saying.
All right, I like that. Well, you heard the horn, so we are up against it, but we still got to take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. World class in every glass. My God. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL.